Craig, how gutsy is Jerome Hughes?
Yeah, we know he's a good player and a smart player, but he's a tough unit as well. And to play tonight after the operation he had in his hand. Again, there was no push from within the club, from medical people, coaches, players, no one, but he put his hand up and wanted to play, and I'm thinking he's thousands, but he trained a couple of sessions, and then then we spoke to the medical people, and they checked it out and thought he was okay, and so to come out and play like only missing that one game after breaking your hand, that's pretty gutsy, and like I say, he's very important to the side, as we all know.
And then to play the way he did too, so it wasn't like he just played, but he started for you guys really.
Yeah, do plenty of tackling. I don't know how many tackles he made, but they kept coming at him, and he kept standing up, and obviously, Harry'd probably be able to tell you more, but just his organisation out there and his call and getting people into position and making the right calls, really important for us.
Just that, I guess there were two periods in that game too, where you guys were able to take your chances, and you only got a sniff twice, but it sort of blew the game wide open in both of them.
Yeah, Manly have been in their home games, have been starting hard and they've been starting fast, and they've had built up a couple of really good leads, and so one of our mentalities was to try and restrict that, and we didn't really go into a defensive mode. We just thought, well, hey, we'll try and do the same, start hard and start fast, and see what happens from there. So like I say, we sort of stuck to that. We completed really well in the first half, not so much the second half, which was a bit disappointing. But like I say, we sort of reduced the effectiveness of their start, and that really helped us, for the rest of the first half, and then for probably 20 minutes the second half.
Right, we saw the difference in the Dragons game as opposed to this game in terms of your attack. Is that as simple as Jerome Hughes coming back into the team? Was it more expensive than that?
Yeah, it's a big part of it, Rudy. Again, and that's not a minus on Wish. He's been playing all over the place for us, and he hasn't played much half because our two halves have been they haven't really been injured, haven't been out much. So it's a tough job to come into that position. But like I say, it's a big part of it, and when you've got your normal halfback in there that's played there for years, that just brings confidence to the team as well. So like I say, it's certainly not a minus on Wish's game, because again it's just so hard to go in after Hughes been there, and they've got different strengths and whatever. So, but like I say, it was really important for us that he played, and like I say, there was no pressure at all. He put his hand up, and that just goes to show what sort of teammate he is.
No, the other great story was Moses Leo. Second game of Rugby League in 5 years or something.
Yeah.
You got a bit of a baptism of fire. They worked him over a bit.
Yeah, they did. I thought he'd done a really good job in the first half. The second half he got caught out a bit, but we sort of thought, well, we were hoping that he didn't get caught out too early, but like I say, he didn't have a whole heap of time with the team or with that edge or whatever, but I thought he'd done a great job, especially in that first half. He was one of his greatest attributes is his speed. He's quick as. So I thought overall he done a good job, considering his lack of experience, playing rugby league, but also in that position. So I think we might have a player on our hands.
It's a big ask of him, Harry, to come in and do that here, particularly here where it's pretty fearsome sort of ground to come to.
Yeah, I think Moe's showed his want and his hard work through. We had a little story about what it meant to him to come to the Storm and take the opportunity. That's probably some for you guys to dig into a little bit later down the track, but also his pre-season, he went after it, and there were so many good reports of him working hard, and then he had a couple of niggles, and last week was his first game back from those niggles, and to be honest, the team wanted him in this week for his opportunity. So I think it's pleasing, and you always remember your first, and your first one's the hardest to get. So he's up to speed, and technically there's probably a few things that he can work on and we can work on with him. But like I said, your first game's always the hardest to get, and it's always a journey to get that first one, and hopefully he can build on that and get some more game time under his belt.
Craig, I know you a few trips in the past, but what was it about it that gave you the confidence to throwing in after one rugby league game?
Probably shouldn't say this, but we basically run out of troops. So, we lost Marion Seve, probably would have been in there, and we lost him with a hamstring injury. I think our first training session of the week, or our second training session of the week. So, it doesn't sound nice, I suppose, but he was the last man standing. So, but like I say, we could have, put one of the back rows out there, whatever. But what we've seen, as Harry said, in the pre-season, and he didn't finish the pre-season because he had a few niggles. But before that, you could see as I said, his speed and ability to get to, I suppose, get to the action quickly was something that really stood out to me. And so it was a little bit of we ran out of troops, but I think I had reasonable confidence in him. I think talking to Harry and the leaders, they had confidence in him, so we give him a shot. I
think on that, we could have. There's a couple of other guys that could have filled in that. Like Tua couldn't play wing, Big Kane Bradley, but it's sort of more a chat to Hughesy and Munster, and they wanted Moses in. They felt he'd earned that through his training, and they felt comfortable with what he'd done at training. We could have moved a few guys around and changed positions, but they've seen enough footy and are experienced, and they're out there defending next to him, and they wanted him in there. So to me, that gave me a lot of confidence for him to perform, and I think he can take a lot of confidence out of that too.
Grant Anderson's been a real quiet achiever for you guys for a few years now.
Yeah, no, he has. It's a shame for us. He's leaving us, next year. But again, whenever, with all due respect, whenever he's been in our team, he's always done a good job. And like today, he played a really important part. Obviously, he scored 3 tries and made some good moves for us coming out of our own end. But I think he was a really big help for Mo as well. He's a really good talker, GA. So, like I say, it's, and whenever we're sort of got to back down, he'll go to the centre or go to the wing or go in the halves, or he can play fullback, so he just does such a great job for us. But I think, a big part of, how Mo handled it pretty well today was, GA would have been helping him the whole time, talking to him and encouraging him and directing him. So, he's playing really well, GA, and we'd like to send him out on a good note.
Any thanks to Ryan and Xavier?
I don't think it's too bad. X just felt a little bit of tightness in his hamstring, so obviously with the situation of the game, I don't know whether he would have went on if it was a tight game. So I don't think they're too worried about that. And who was the other one?
Paps.
Oh, Paps, yeah. I think he just got a bit of a cork in his back, actually. I think when he was going up for a bomb, he copped a knee on the way down or whatever. So, again, with the score the way it was, we just thought it was safe to get him off, especially, X, when you hear hamstring tightness, you always sort of panic a bit about that. But hopefully, they'll be okay for next week.
Right, there are no sin-bins or dramas today, but do you have any thoughts on the high tackle this weekend?
I haven't seen every game. I've seen a couple of games, but I don't really want to comment on it. It's not my sort of area. I'm not in control of that, but yeah. So. Yeah.
Excellent.